In today's video, we're going to be going through the worst niches as an online trainer. The ones that if you pick, no matter how hard you work, what you do, nothing's going to work and it's going to keep you broke and unsuccessful as an online trainer. And it's kind of like one of the key pieces you need to nail in your foundational parts of your business. And if you get this wrong, like I said, you can literally have, see one trainer who's making 20, 30, 40, 50, $100,000 a month doing the exact same stuff, strategies, techniques as another that is struggling to get, one client. And the main key difference is their niche selection. One has a good one has a bad one. They're both doing the same thing. One gets massive results, one gets little to no results. So it is pretty important. And I think a lot of people get this piece wrong and then wonder why what they're doing, they're not getting any traction with it and just get frustrated, right? And what's more frustrating is seeing people doing the exact same stuff as you and getting massive results, while for you, you do that and it's just like you hear crickets. So you definitely want to get this piece right. Now, first and foremost, what is a good niche? A good niche is, or niche, however you want to pronounce the word, depending on where you are in the world, is effectively narrowing down to a certain type of ideal client online. Now, if you think about it this way, when you're an in-person trainer, in-person personal trainer, coach, you don't need to niche. You don't need to niche. You don't need to have it at that sort of level. Why? Because you work in a gym. Let's say, for example, you work from home or you work for a certain location. And the only clients that you could potentially get are the people that kind of live around you in a call it a half an hour car radius, right? So plonk your gym, look at your gym, and if you did a half an hour radius around there, that's your only potential client base, right? So there's a certain cap, there's a certain limit on the type of people you could work with, right? There's a cap to the volume, right? You're never going to be able to have 1 billion prospects, for example, or even 1 million prospects or 10 million prospects, because you're limited by the radius around you of those who can travel to see you in person. But in addition to that, you also have a cap, a reduction in competition, right? So once again, you might have a 30-minute driving radius of where your gym, your location, your box, your facility is. And you might have a competitor 5 minutes, drive to the left and 5 minutes drive to the right. You might have 1-2 minutes walk from you, right? But you're capped by your competition, right? And what I mean by that is no one's going to have like 100,000 competitors to try and compete with to get their clients in a physical gym location, right? In that physical, in-person, face-to-face training basis. So you're limited by your potential growth, your prospect volume, but you're also protected by being limited by your competition, right? Now, as soon as you go online, you open up your capacity to work with effectively 7 billion people worldwide, right? 7 point something billion. I haven't looked at it recently. Now, you go as an online trainer, online coach, you go online, you've been in person, you've never had to niche before for the reasons that I just mentioned. And then all of a sudden you have the capacity to reach 7 billion people and you think, great, this is amazing. There's so many prospects out there. But on the flip side, you also compete with every single online trainer in the world as well. So your capacity, your volume of prospects go sky high, but also your competition goes sky high, right? And remember, in an in-person aspect, one, if you niche down, there's not enough people around you to say no to certain people, say, I don't train with them. But you're also protected. You don't have to be as good or as narrow because you're protected by limited amount of competition. You go online, you have massive amounts of competition, but you also have massive amounts of reach and capacity to get prospects. Right now, the reason why niching or niching down is important online is because what it does is it pockets you down to working with a certain type of people, but also protects you to having less competition. So all of a sudden, you're not competing with every personal trainer in the world, right? You're only competing with the trainers who do what you do and work with the people you're working with in a certain way. So you've got niches and then you've got sub niches. That's kind of one level down from that. And the more narrow you can be on that, think about it. Yes, the less prospects you've got, but you only need, if you're charging each client at, say, $2,000 for ease of math, right? To make $200,000 a year, you only need 100 clients, right? So you only need 100 people. And so you narrow down, instead of targeting 7 billion people, you might narrow down to a group that only has 100,000 potential prospects around the world, right? But by doing that, you also got less and less and less competition, right? Now you're not competing with every online trainer in the world. You're competing with maybe 5 or 10 in the world, right? Now, in addition to that, if you have the right techniques, the marketing, the sales strategies, the formats, the way to get your stuff out there, you might be competing with 20, 30, 40 other online trainers at that niche level. But if you're doing it much better than them, it's not an even spread, right? Like if there's 30 online trainers in your niche and there's 3 of them doing it really well and 27 doing terrible, then really your only competition is 3, right? And so if you're able to get the right tools and tactics and techniques, you can outsmart and outmaneuver those other ones. So you've already narrowed down, you've got less competition, right? But then if you're able to outmaneuver that competition and be better than them, then you have even less competition, because what you're doing, even though you're marketing the same people, you're doing it much better. So you're blowing them out of the water. And that's where the real magic happens. Now, in terms of the niches that really suck and the ones you want to stay away from, I speak to way too many people, and these are rules of thumbs. Now, I've worked with people in all of these harder niches and made it work, and they're doing very, very, very well. But I want to give everyone kind of a general rules of thumb for when starting out. 1, you generally don't want to target any prospect that's younger than like 21, 22. Right? Why? Because they have less capacity to make their own financial decisions, and they have generally less available finance to afford certain things, because they're just not at a level where their earning capacity is high enough. Now there are, I had an online fitness business personally that targeted an age range of that, and it works phenomenally well. But there's certain nuances to make it happen. But when I speak to a potential trainer wanting to go online, they're like, I want to work with school kids, 16, 17, because I've worked in schools here and there in person, and I really know what I'm doing. And it's like, it's going to be pretty difficult, right? Because A, they don't have the finances in most cases, and B, they have to then ask their parents, and you have to kind of convince 2 different people to get one uptake of a client. It just complicates the process, and it can be much, because really your real customer is their parent. It's not the younger person, but you speak to the younger person who then needs to go through the parent to get the investment. The other side is, the other one is the other end of the spectrum. Anything above about 60, 65 is quite difficult to close as an online trainer because of their lack of want or need or motivation or comfort in terms of using certain technologies, right? And so they will generally just push to what they know and what they're comfortable with, and that being an in-person trainer. Right, so you've got the age brackets, right? Now, the key to that, those are kind of like the key aspects, right? Now, really, you just got to think to yourself based on that. Is my niche able to afford my services? Do they have, computer, phone, access to technology, and they're open to using it? Are they already spending money trying to solve this problem, right? Doesn't matter if it's in an online format, if it's with an in-person trainer, if it's with a doctor, equipment, medications, whatever it might be. Are they already investing to try and solve this problem? And time is usually a good one as well. Do they have a hard motivation time-wise to be successful? Now, for example, things like, weddings, events, things like that can races, in terms of, running coaches, marathons, ultras, all that sort of stuff. So competitions, events, certain dates, hard deadlines, holidays, where people get, hyper motivated to take action on something that's coming up. Those all things can work. They're not a necessity, right? But just think of those kind of rules of thumb and seeing if you can tick off as many of those boxes as you can. It will generally mean that it's a niche that is in the right place. Now, as I said before, that'll get you to like a niche level. How to really crack it is to go on a sub-niche level. And that's like coming one level down from the niche. Most people will go no niche, right? And then level down from that, they'll go a standard general niche, like busy professionals. That is not a good niche, right? That is not even a niche. That is just someone just off the cuff, just making it up, right? And just going, oh, well, busy professionals, like that's not really a niche. There's no clarity to that. Or, you know, CEOs, there's no clarity to that. Someone's just saying, well, they have money, and so that's my niche. It's like, no, that's not really clarity to it. It's not going to cut through. You're not going to do it right. So you've got no niches, then you've got niches, then you've got sub-niches. And sub-niches is really where it's at the moment, for all the reasons I took you through before. So if you need any help on that, that's what we work with our clients with, specifically helping build out that, nail the right niche, get a right communication that makes that niche want to be motivated. If you need help with that, you're stuck at these pieces, feel free to reach out. Hopefully this video has helped dial in this important piece for you. Cheers.